Hey everyone, and welcome to another Travel Tuesday. I'm often asked, Mark, what is your favorite site or sites to visit in the lands of the Bible? I'm in the midst of introducing you to four of my favorite. If you didn't see our first site, Assos in Turkey, check it out on our social media. Today I want to introduce you to one of my favorite sites in the land of Israel. It's a place called Tel Mutila, and it's situated inside the farming commune of Moshav Almagor. Now you say, I've never heard of that place before, and you'd be right, because it's not biblical. You find no churches there, you find no ancient history there, but the view is biblical. In fact, it's one of the few places on the northern stretch of the lake that I can take you and show you the landscape where, according to the Gospels, 95% of the ministry of Jesus took place. Down below you, when you stand on Tel Mutila, flows the Jordan River into the northern insert into the Lake of Galilee. Beyond that, you see the Beitsaida Valley, which sits on the northeast corner of the Lake of Galilee. If you look to your west, you actually can see the Gennesar Valley. Between the Gennesar Valley on the northwest corner of the lake and the Beitsaida Valley on the northeast corner of the lake is where 95% of the ministry of Jesus recorded in the Gospels takes place. Standing there, you can see it all. And actually, it has the ability to transform how you go about reading the spatial realities of the Gospels. But it's more than just the view. Because when you stand there, you look down on the Beitsaida Valley and know that down there is the ancient site of Beitsaida Julius, which is the third most mentioned city in the Gospels after Jerusalem and Capernaum. Following the shoreline to the west, you see where Capernaum is situated. And then over the hill to your west, but north of Capernaum, is the ancient site of Chorazin. These three villages, Beitsaida, Capernaum, and Chorazin, are what some call the evangelical triangle. These are three cities that were cursed by Jesus in the Gospels. But even more than seeing where the cities and villages are located, you can actually also begin to understand some of the stories and regional dynamics in the Galilee of Jesus' day. Let me explain. The Jordan River, as it inserts and flows into the Lake of Galilee in the north, was a geopolitical boundary between the territory and tetrarchy of Herod Antipas, that's the son of Herod the Great that removes John the Baptist's head from his shoulders, and to the east, the area of his brother Philip. We hear Jesus often in the Gospels going to the other side, which means traveling from the western side of the lake, which is Galilee, to the eastern side of the lake, which was the territory of Philip. The Jordan River was that geopolitical boundary there. So when we find Jesus moving, he's not just moving geographically, but he's moving into different regional politics and realities. And that's important to illustrate and understand. The other thing that you can see stretching out below you is the Beitsaida Valley. Now, according to the Gospel of Luke, Jesus fed the 5,000 in the wilderness of Beitsaida. You see that wilderness. And wilderness does not mean a dry desert area. Wilderness in the Bible means uncultivated lands, lands that are not sown. In other words, pasturage lands, lands that could be used for flocks. And you see the Beitsaida Valley stretching out below you. And note, this is one of the only miracles of Jesus that is recorded in all four Gospels. Now, some of you may say, well, Mark, I've been to Israel and I was shown a place for the feeding of the 5,000 where there was a church and there was a mosaic with fish and loaves, and I was told this was the place of the feeding of the 5,000. Well, there is a church that commemorates that on the west side of the northern shore of the Lake of Galilee. The only problem is Luke is very specific that the feeding of the 5,000 takes place in the wilderness of Beitsaida. So simply put, that church and its location is wrong, at least according to the Gospel of Luke. Standing at Tel Mutila, you see the Beitsaida Valley stretch out in front of you, and you can imagine this crowd sitting there coming to hear and listen to Jesus. Now, the other thing that I love about this site, not just the view, not just the biblical geography that you see stretching out in front of you, not just the regional politics of the Galilee and the Golan during the reign of, or the tetrarchy, I should say, of Herod Antipas and Herod Philip, but it's also a place of wonderful, quiet reflection. It's a place where you can stand there and in one location see the physical geography where 95% of Jesus' ministry took place. Where the stories that we also read about during the great Jewish revolt written by Josephus Flavius, many of those stories are playing out in the geography in front of you. This is an important site, and what I love about it is no one is ever there. Check back with us next week, and I'm going to introduce you to site number 3 on my list of the 4 favorite sites I have for touring and visiting in the lands of the Bible. This is Travel Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week.